Welcome now on the telephone, Bill Gavin, former FBI Assistant Director and now a Senior Advisor with Integris Intelligence. He comes to us from Boston. Welcome. It's good to have you, Bill.
Thank you, David.
As you know, in the Wall Street Journal, there's a report of an interview that they had with the President of the United States. And the President of the United States specifically said that the reason for doing this was because of his concern about the Mueller investigation. I think we have the quote here we can put up. He said, okay, I'm sorry, we don't have it, but take my word for it, Bill. That's what he said. He said it was directly attributable to that. Have you ever heard of such a thing, revoking a security clearance because you're upset about somebody's participation in an investigation?
David, I think that there's probably a little bit more to it, and that little might be a lot to it than that. Bottom line is, my personal belief is when you leave government and you have a security clearance at government, I think that security clearance ought to be revoked for everybody leaving government, not just the people selected by individuals who might have a personal animus. But I don't see any reason why a person leaving the government needs to have a top secret or a security clearance unless they, for a certain period of time, become advisors to the new administration or they obtain another job within the government that requires that. If they leave the government, they ought not to have access to top secret or secret information, even confidential information. So why do they need the clearance?
So, Bill,
I really believe that. And I walked out of the FBI after 28 years, and the day I walked out, I no longer had access I no longer had a security clearance. It was discontinued at that point. So I'm not offended by that, but I think it ought to happen.
Yeah, this is an important and a fascinating point. I mean, the argument on the other side is you want the ability to be able to call up former officials and ask for their advice. And under your approach, you'd have to go through a formal process to have the security clearance have to be reinstated, wouldn't you?
Well, the problem with that is you need to, when a person gets called up, a year afterwards, 2 years afterwards, 6 months afterwards, 3 days afterwards, I think there should be a time frame on that. I fully understand that when somebody leaves government, to discuss with their contemporaries or discuss with the people that succeed them, maybe you do need to maintain that security clearance. But you ought not to. Do you need a security clearance to talk about confidential matters you learned, or do you need a security clearance to gain additional information that you didn't already have when you left government? You need to ask that question.
That's an interesting point. So after you left the FBI, you've been able to talk to your colleagues about things that you knew while you were in the agency, but not gain new information. Has that in any way hampered your ability to give advice to new colleagues that would have come into the FBI?
Well, sure. I think the bottom line is that not too many people reach back out and ask you to discuss any classified information. It just doesn't happen. It's within the agency. If, in fact, they needed to talk to you about classified information and you needed to have additional information to help them make decisions, then your security clearance should be reinstated. And that's not a very difficult process. But I just don't think you should have access to classified information when, in fact, you're no longer a part of the government. If you have another job where you relate with maybe a defense contractor and you need a security clearance for that, that's another different story.